Good morning and welcome to the Tourism Nova Scotia webinar series. We're just getting back into it after a summer break, so I hope everyone had a wonderful summer and an enjoyable fall. So today's webinar is Tell Your Story with Short Form Video. For those of you joining us for the first time, my name is Nick Fry. I'm the Manager of Business Development with Tourism Nova Scotia. Tourism Nova Scotia, we work with communities and industry to attract visitors to the province and increase tourism revenues through experience and sector development, business coaching, marketing, and visitor servicing. So this webinar, of course, is a collaboration with Digital Nova Scotia, and I'm hoping you signed up through Digiport. And if not, we'll talk about that in a bit. But some little bit of housekeeping for the day. So any good discussion is made better through really great questions. So if you have any questions throughout the process, please do add in the Q&A at the bottom. And if we mention any links or any kind of resources, we'll make sure we share that out after the fact in an email. So you don't need to go off and search for it and do that. So you can just focus on the webinar. If it's longer than an hour and you have to pop out, it's going to be recorded. If you think it's great, if you'd like to share it with one of your, industry, someone in the industry, we'd love you to do that. All of our previous webinars are also available. So, if you find this valuable, we'd love for you to check out our other ones. And really excited about today's webinar. We have about 40 people on the call so far, and which is really strong. So really excited about that. Again, what I mentioned before is that this is brought to you through Digiport. So Digiport is a partnership between Tourism Nova Scotia and Digital Nova Scotia. And it's a one-stop shop for interactive services, educational opportunities, everything tourism related, it has some digital teachings as well. So, you can work on your digital marketing skills, access professional support, and it will help you improve your online presence and help, reach visitors where they're looking for you. So that's nsdigiport.ca. And again, the value is there. I hope you came to this webinar through there. And if not, go check it out after the fact. So today's presenters are Connect Media. Really excited to have them here with us. We have Riley Forman and Connor Kidd. They have over a decade of experience as a tourism marketing agency, and they bring with them that expertise to the table. Innovation is a constant pursuit with Connect Media, and they have a commitment to expanding skill sets and devising creative strategies that drive visitors to destinations and attractions and enrich the experience to the fullest, which is really important when differentiating your product online. Their team's extensive engagement with tourism businesses of all different sizes has cultivated a profound understanding of traveler needs and the destination dynamics within they work in. So I think what the real value that you'll see is that Riley and Connor and Connect Media, they exclusively work in the tourism space, and they come from an operational background within tourism, so they really understand it, and really focusing lately on short form video. So excited to have them here today. I'll stop talking and invite them on. So thank you for your time today, and welcome to the screen, Riley and Connor. So Connor, if you want to share, there we go.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that introduction. Thank you again to Tourism Nova Scotia and Digital Nova Scotia for this kind of opportunity, and everyone that's attending today. At Connect Media, our core value is enriching communities through the growth of tourism, and an opportunity like this today is really huge for us, and we appreciate this. One thing, there's topics throughout this presentation that could have its own hour for. So we really have a lot to cover today in a limited amount of time. So we are going to push through a lot of topics, but we do recommend that this is going to be available online. So come back and make reference to it, and kind of dive in more. We've got a lot of notes. We're also going to be providing some more resources and tutorials in a follow-up email just to help get you kick-started with some of this information today. So first, we're just going to talk a little about creating your ideas and planning your videos. So just to kind of start off the first steps, a lot of people on this call today are marketing professionals. So I think some of these things are kind of, some of your first steps with kind of any of your marketing communications, but it's the same with short form video. First, what are you trying to communicate, and making sure that what your video is telling enhances that message. So just knowing before you go in a video, what am I trying to say here? And of course, what is your call to action? So a call to action on a short form video could be kind of very simple, like just look how, I want you to know how beautiful this location is, or how beautiful my business is. And that could be, very simple, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like a hard call to action like book now. But that also, those are very important call to actions too. Whatever your call to action is, kind of know that going in, include that in your plan. How are you going to make sure that this video encourages that step to be taken? And of course, who's your target audience? I mean, knowing who you want to take action is going to help you make videos that appeal to them more, and choose platforms that they will want to, that they're participating in as well. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of those platforms a little bit later. So going into just some thoughts around inspiring your story, first and foremost is just going to social media, going on to Instagram Reels or TikTok or YouTube Shorts or any of these platforms, and just watching ideas, and then kind of modifying that to be your own and being kind of true to your story, your values. And watching tutorials on YouTube. This, for every topic that we're talking about today, you can learn about on YouTube tutorials, just searching up how to make a stop motion video, everything. You can learn everything that we're learning in deeper context on YouTube. So really encouraging, especially as you're kind of diving in more and making more, and you want to know, like, I want to take it to the next level. Definitely go to YouTube and Google search, but really there's a lot of visual, easy to understand resources on YouTube. Look at your competitors and others in your industry. You're going to find a lot of great ideas. Again, I remind you, try to keep it yourself, try to make it real to what you're doing and put your own twist on it. And look at other industries to get ideas too. And in both of these examples, don't just look, in your own community, look throughout the province, look throughout the world. Like you could look at, famous, world-known destinations like Iceland, for example, has done some really creative social media work over the years. And I really always like the outhorse your emails. You can draw a lot of inspiration and ideas from places all over the world. And that's the beauty of social media. It's at our fingertips. And one of my favorites is ask your customer, staff, and audience for ideas. Staff in particular, some of the best short form video content that we've made for clients have come from ideas from their staff. You'd be surprised how quickly they'll come up with funny ideas. They really know your business, and they may already have some ideas. So that's a really great way to kind of inspire, like, what can we do here? And of course, practice. I mean, once you're doing more and more, if you really just put your head down, say, I'm going to make a bunch of short forms, TikToks or Reels or both for a period of time, you're just going to naturally come up with ideas. You'll have more ideas than you have time to make. And so just a couple other ideas on like what you should talk about or what your content could be. One of the most, useful and obvious ones is just teaching people interesting knowledge. If people get a value out of your content, they're more likely to trust you, return for more, watch the full video, become a customer. So, if you're a restaurant, for example, you could do maybe some real quick, fun, easy recipes. If you're a guide, tour guide, or whale watching, for example, your guides have extraordinary knowledge on like whales, when the whales are coming, what they're eating, when those fish come, the different seasons, the weather, geography, history. These are all really unique, did you know, fun facts that could be put into an endless amount of short form video content. Tell stories about the people behind the brand. People really love to be connected to the businesses that they're interested in. And, you find if they've, discovered you and they're like, oh, I really like what they had to say, they follow your feeds and they're watching more and more videos of you. Like even if it's owner operator is sometimes even more successful, because people, they'll come to your business, maybe they meet you once or twice at the business, briefly, and they see in their videos, they really actually become to feel like they know you. And they start saying that in their conversations, like, oh yeah, we were up at this steakhouse, so we met Johnny, he's such a great guy. And it's almost kind of like a bragging right almost. But people get a deep connection to your brand when they build a relationship with you. And so when you're telling stories about the people, that really kind of fast tracks that. And those people become ambassadors in your extended marketing department too, once they kind of get to that stage with you in that relationship. Answer a few frequently asked questions. That's kind of an easy one. If you don't have any kind of developed yet, you can go onto Google or even Chat GPT and just say, hey, what are some frequently asked questions for my spa? For example, and they'll kind of come through, pick through those, find some that are very relevant to you, and do fun little informative short form video contents about it. And your customers will find utility in that. And a really easy way, especially if you're getting going, using Instagram, TikTok templates. CapCut is one of the editors we talk about later. It's got some templates for TikTok too, and you can kind of create a nice visual highlight reel that you don't have to really even think about it. It kind of times you up, chooses your song, and that's one way to kind of get the ball rolling, especially too if you're having kind of a creative day or you need to do something quickly and get some content out. Try out the templates, and of course try new things. I like to always say try new things, evaluate the outcome, optimize it, and then repeat, and you'll just keep growing and getting better. Practice makes perfect. Like that's kind of a cliche, but it's really the case with short form video. And kind of the same thing as telling about the people behind your brand. Tell about your business, behind the scenes, interesting things. Highlight your products, highlight your experiences, and try to do that in fun visual ways. We talk about a little bit of that in the filming session coming up, but people are interested in knowing more about your business, and we can do that in a fun way or a humorous way or an informative way. People do get value out of that video and they'll come back for more. So other helpful tips here. Number one, creating a shot list. It's might seem like a little bit more time. You're surprised how much time you save filming when you do a shot list. Especially if you're a small business and you got a couple employees going out to making TikToks, you really need to make that time efficient. And so creating a shot list, they know what shots they need to get. They maybe even have a script. They maybe or even have some audio ideas kind of captured. So they know this is what I need to get. When you don't have a plan, you'd be surprised how much time you sit around thinking, oh, what should we do next? And in the end of the day, it saves you a lot of time. Creating a hook is a really kind of, creating a hook kind of means a lot of things. In the newspaper world, that's like a headline. But in the short form video world, it's the first 5 seconds of your video. So try to make your video most exciting as possible in the first 5 seconds. This could be through an exciting audio clip, nice, introduction, some cool video visuals, or speech. We saw 5 different whales in the last 3 weeks. Check them out. And, people are like, whoa, 5 whales. And I think I want to watch that. So that's kind of an opportunity for you to kind of get people hooked on that, and then they're going to watch the full video right through. And learn how to communicate your message quickly and cut the fluff. So a lot of people, this is a learning curve for a lot of people, kind of getting used to different tricks. But, the best thing is just do one point at a time. Pick a topic, communicate it quickly, and if it's going to be a longer one, Try to make it exciting through what you're saying, through the visuals, text on screen, that type of thing. So you can really keep that audience engaged. And then, of course, differentiate yourself and put your own, spin on trends. And that's just about being yourself. This is a quote that, can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. In the short form video world, it's important to remember, like, trends and kind of copying each other and building off those ideas and kind of extending the story is actually really a part of the community on these platforms. So copying is almost part of it. I say, if you're jumping on trends and you're doing these fun things, don't copy them, steal the show. And so this kind of quote kind of captures that feeling for us a little. So we're just going to get into a little bit about some filming techniques, filming in particular on your phone. We'll first kind of get into a few accessories that you can get. Accessories are definitely not like, you don't need to have accessories. But if you're really trying to up your game, there's some things that you can do. A gimbal is one of the ones that I almost recommend the most. It's kind of a device that stabilizes your camera. You can do a lot of other things to it, like motion time lapses, where it kind of, evenly does a kind of a time lapse over a time period. You see that with clouds over the ocean or stars at night, that kind of thing. So those can be, fairly inexpensive. We use the Osmo brand gimbals ourselves, and we use them quite often when we're out shooting, especially when we're outside moving through a shot, kind of stabilizes that a bit. Tripods, tripod stands, monopods can be very handy as well. Especially when you're doing time lapse and stuff, you need kind of that still shot. Microphones, you're doing a lot of interviews or speech, you may want to think about microphones, especially if you're doing it outside. You get like a wireless microphone, goes into your phone, and you have a little lapel mic, you got a little fuzzy on there, and it will reduce wind and background and stuff like that, increase your audio game a little. Lighting, if you're filming indoors, it's kind of dark, you might want to consider, maybe you want to think about lighting, or outdoors, if you're doing lighting, people use diffusers and different things like that as well. Definitely not necessary. Just these are some areas you can go even on to Amazon or some cheap websites and get some really cheap stuff as well. When it comes to tripods, depending on what you're doing, especially on a windy day, you do want a heavier tripod. So some areas you don't necessarily want to cheap out on, but with things like lighting and diffusers and stuff like that, you definitely get some really good deals. Sliders, not very important. It's just kind of a device. It's on a track. You can mount your phone onto it, and you can get a nice smooth movement back and forth, side to side. Kind of cinematic feels. Could be really useful if you kind of get a nice shot of a menu item for your restaurant or indoor space. Definitely not needed. Just kind of a fun thing that can be easy to use and up your game. Now, having said that, pretty much everything here you can jimmy rig yourself. So for example, a monopod could be a phone with an elastic band on a stick. Lighting could be a couple lamps. A slider could be a skateboard or a toy car or something like that. So a lot of people do improvise and use just what's around them to create cool fun effects in their video as well. So don't be afraid to do that also. Early in my days, I used to kind of jimmy rig things like that all the time, and we had a lot of fun with it. So just a few things. Same thing, recommend going into YouTube and searching up more about camera movements and stuff like that, learning about how that affects your film and your videos. But a few things to think about. First of all, we're filming short form videos. There's almost no example worthwhile talking about where you're not going to be shooting vertically. So always make sure your phone's vertical when you're filming your vertical phone content. You always get it nice, you get it framed exactly what you want to see when people are watching it on their devices. Framing your shot, really keep in mind, what's in the background. Is there kind of garbage or, old junky car or something, in the background that's, taking away from the aesthetic of the shot? Where is the subject placed? Are they too close? Are they too far? You want a shot that people really kind of know what they're looking at. They can understand clearly. It's like a subconscious messaging that's coming through when you know what to look at. And you're not distracted by other things in the shot as well. And that kind of goes into angles, sometimes too, like if you get a shot and there's a power line in the background, stuff like that, sometimes it's nice just to kind of move just a couple feet over and kind of get a nicer background. So always thinking about your angles. You can go, down or up and get a better angle of what you're trying to shoot. Always be considering the lighting of shadows, indoor, outdoor, sunlight behind you, those types of things when you're shooting a lot, similar to just when you're taking a picture too, right? And then camera movements. So, on the image here, we just kind of talk about this. This is one thing too, I recommend that, learn more about camera movements and how they use them in cinematic experience. A lot of camera movements invoke different emotions and feelings, especially when placed with certain audio or a certain feeling that's being portrayed. Can make you feel like you're kind of learning something or getting closer, more context, or you're coming away from something. It can be used to invoke fear, happiness, actually surprise, on how your camera movements can evoke different emotions and help enhance what you're trying to communicate. So, something really interesting to learn more about. And then a couple little things here of filming styles. We've got a couple examples coming up. Stop motion we didn't have enough time today to do tutorials on all of this stuff, but stuff that I really recommend people learning about. Stop motion is a really easy way to kind of feature products. Really good for restaurants or a brewery that's got a new kind of beer that you want to, do a stop motion of the glass spinning around, that sort of thing. And it's really, really easy to do. And it can really enhance your game. So something to learn more about. Same thing with time lapse and hyperlapses. Can be very easy and can increase your video production really well. And slow motion, there's areas too where you can just use your phone option on your camera on your phone, press slow-mo, get certain things really kind of look cool in slow motion. You can add that in with other regular speed shots, or just even one clip of a slow motion. Really easy to do. Just different techniques that you can do to kind of up your filming game. And I just want to remind people too, we got lots of time at the end for Q&A. And so if you have any questions, add them into the chat. We're going to kind of get to those as well at the end. And I think once you see all the presentations, some of these thoughts will kind of have a little bit more context for you. So a couple examples here. We have a stop motion video here. She just shows she's setting up. She's taking a picture with each moment. In this example, she's using a DSLR camera, but you can do this with the phone just as easily too, right? Same quality even. It's a real fun way, like I said, envision your product or a menu item kind of being highlighted in that way. This is just a really simple example. People love this stuff. Who doesn't love a cute fluffy dog? Like I'm a cat guy and I can't get over this dog. So and slow motion kind of really enhances that kind of feeling and that message and how fun it is. And this is an example of using hyperlapse and a gimbal in one. Very easy to do, and it looks incredible. So they're just kind of showing how he does it, kind of walking through the subject. He ends up reversing this to kind of give that effect. And you can do that in so many different aspects in your business, in your area, to kind of have different even B-roll to kind of enhance and make your video a little bit more exciting. Very easy stuff to do. Practice a few times, you'd be surprised on how good you can get at that really quickly. And so just a couple little tips on audio. Again, if audio and speech and interviews is going to be an important part of it, all the aspects of videos is, it's reading, it's seeing, it's visual, it's audio, it's all these senses. And the better all these are, the better your video is. So thinking about your audio is an important aspect too. You want to be quiet, quiet on the set, avoid wind. If there's a road nearby and there's vehicles going by, you might want to consider that, or wait till there's not vehicles, that sort of thing. The use of, again, microphones, little lapel microphones, you can get ones hooks into your phone and stuff like that. You can do that to increase, the quality of your audio. These are all things you can do. And just also too, going back to that planning ahead, using script can kind of make, the speech a little bit more confident and stuff like that too, which again kind of increases the audio, make it sound a little more confident, sound more believable. So now we're just going to get into filming transitions. So with the stop motion, the hyper time lapse, we could kind of get into that. Transitions is a really, really easy thing for people to do. You add a couple of fun transitions, one or two. You don't even have to add them into all your videos, but this is a really easy thing that kind of, once people start getting going on, it gets them more excited about learning other things. So, it does increases your visual appeal and the production value, keeps your audience eyes engaged a little bit more, makes it a little more intriguing, and it's easy to do. So we're going to go over some filming, and we're going to, a little later on, we're going to show you how easy it was also to edit that. So thanks to Digital Nova Scotia, by the way, my models today, but I'm just going through these transitions, starting in one place and popping into a new place, or creating fun movements just by creating a fun transition. And then I'll kind of show. So here we have the subject walking up, and I pan down to the wood. And as they walk away, I pan up from the wood. And I'm just going to splice that kind of right at the right point there. Easy as that. I'm going to cut this right mid-snap. And when I'm editing it, and it's just going to look like he snapped his fingers into a new location. These are really kind of basic, kind of standard transitions, but really gives you an idea of what you can do. Panning up to this blue sky, panning down from the blue sky with a new person in a new location. Here we're just going to do the jump up, and we're going to cut that mid jump, so when they land, they're going to be in a new location. And we're just going to use the art. We're down at the Halifax waterfront there. Beautiful art, which play into those rich colors and kind of create a fun movement. Makes it a little bit more visually appealing through the movements to the video by doing that instead of just following someone. This one is really easy. Pan an ice cream cone, pan out in a new location. We've got some fun examples of this in the video coming up here. And here we have the sunglasses, so she's going to put her hand in front of the camera, and when she puts in front of the camera again, she's not going to have her sunglasses on anymore. I got to use whale watching, for example, but you could have that where, hand in front of the camera and all the attendees have their life jackets on, and that kind of thing. Or a chef puts their chef jacket on. So it's just a quick run through again of how those transitions kind of looked out. So that's really, really how easy it is. It takes 2 minutes per transition here to film these, and you can add a little bit more spice and vibrance to your videos. So now we're just going to talk a little bit about editing videos. I'm going to kind of go on a little bit of overview, and Connor's going to come in a bit talking about editing videos on your phones, what I think is most important. But we're going to just talk about a couple ideas, a couple principles here. So, really the idea is you're taking clips on your phone, you're trimming down on the editor the parts of that clip that you like, you're putting them in a sequence that you like, and you're adding a song to it. And that's a video. You maybe add some text and other things that you can do, but really you're just putting some short clips that you like in a sequence or an order that makes sense, and you're uploading it. With that said, I kind of show using a computer on Adobe, just a few things here. So on my left here, I've imported my clips, and I'm gonna drag them over to my timeline over here. And I've already I've pre-watched this and stuff also for kind of the sake of efficiency today. So I know where I want to have these clips. So we're trying to get this kid to laugh. And I'm going to trim that down right to that point where my hand pulls out of the shot. We get him laughing. And then we're going to cut that at kind of the end of that point. So we have a nice kind of clip. So I'm just trimming a clip, you know, that's done. I have that clip. That's I know a second or two towards my 10-second, video. Same thing. I kind of know a little bit where I want to clip here. I'm going to go to that moment. I'm going to, shrink it down. It's the same thing on a phone. It kind of works the same way. You're just kind of shrink it down. Connor's going to show you, but it's even easier on a phone, actually. Very simple interfaces. So I got that kind of clip kind of going on here, and I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to carry on this process here. I'm going to kind of speed up the tempo of this video here just to kind of show you what we're doing a little bit more quickly. This one's a macro shot. I want some different layers, some different kind of storytells, makes it more visually exciting. So I'm going to kind of grab that clip and trim it down and move it over. And I've got my last clip here, same thing. So like I said, on your phone editor, on your computer editor, you're just editing, you're just shortening these clips, and you're going to put them in a sequence that you want. Now I'm going to take a look through here, make sure any blemishes. I notice there's a little blemish on that clip, and I want to make that shorter anyways. So I'm going to clip that down. It's looking all good. I'm going to now just change the order a bit, because I want kind of a different kind of visual storytell of what comes next. And I'm pretty much done. I add maybe some text if I like, maybe not. I add some audio to the end, and now I have a video commercial that can be an announcement for the opening of the Sunflower Festival. And that's the exact same process, the vertical video or landscape video. It's pretty much the same thing. So, and just kind of going over that, we're talking about editing transitions on your computer. Again, we're going to do this on the phone example as well, but we're just taking two clips. We're trimming them down to that point that we want, that midpoint, mid-snap, mid-air, and we're just putting them together. It's a 2-minute process to cut a transition into place. So I've got a few transitions laid out here. We've got the snapping of the finger, and we've got the jump in the air. So just, we're going to take a look at those. I know that I'm going to cut those kind of mid jump. I'm going to go back to the beginning here and just cut these. So right off the bat, I'm going to kind of find that mid snap. I'm going to trim the end of that shot down to that point. Second shot, I'm going to find mid snap. And again, it's pretty much exact same thing on the phone. And I'm going to trim that from the beginning over to that point, and pretty much have it there. I notice the timing is not quite right, so I'm going to try to adjust that. I know it's too small for me, so I'm going to want to zoom in here a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier to toggle. Same kind of ability on the phone as well. And that makes it a little bit more cleaner of a transition. Same thing. In this case, I'm going to cut the beginning of the clip that I don't want off. Cut that out. And then I'm going to find that mid jump. I'm going to clip from the back over. And I'm going to want to move these a little bit over so they fit my screen. I'm going to go over the second shot, find that mid jump again, and clip that from the beginning to that point. And pull those together, and we have our transition. Like I said, it takes 2 minutes on the phone, takes a couple minutes on the computer. One of the differences between doing your transitions or editing on your computer to your phone, the computer obviously has a lot more options. There's a whole lot of different things, a lot more technical, larger learning curve. So But really, you know, for short form video content, you know, opportunities are just as easy and inexpensive when you do it on your phone anyways. If you're getting really into technical, then you know maybe at that point you want to start thinking about editors. If you got a large chain, you're going to be producing a large volume, then yeah, maybe at that point you want to start using some templates and some different things that you create yourself, and think about that. So that being said, now I'll hand it over to Connor here to take over for editing videos on your phone.
All right, thanks, Riley. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about editing on your phone. Now, Connect Media, we primarily use Splice for editing our content. But before I get into the pros and cons of that, I'm just going to talk about why you should not be editing in apps. So right in Instagram or right in TikTok. If you want to do this, we do recommend it for people that are on one account. Say if you're just posting on Instagram, you're doing simple edits, you're using in-app audios, and you're not really planning on boosting posts, then yes, maybe it is a good idea to just edit right in app. But we do argue that it's best not to do that most of the time, as Instagram and TikTok, they make a lot of changes fairly regularly, so they can be quite buggy. Splice is also very, very easy to use, and it gives you one export file in an aspect ratio that fits all platforms, like for short form video, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok, and all of those. So pros of using Splice, like I said, it's very easy to use and it's low cost. It's around $10 a month based on the subscription that you get. And a really big benefit is that they have a large library of copyright-free music. The downsides really of using Splice just boil down to not being able to upload fonts or brand colors. They have a great selection of colors and fonts, but if you want that specific one, then you'll have to find a different way to do that. And we actually have some suggestions for that. So I'm just going to jump into a quick example video of making a project on Splice. So we start by picking our clips. We give our project a title, and we are also going to be picking an aspect ratio. We have already picked TikTok, which is 9:16, just like any other short form vertical video. We're putting our clips in order here. And then we're going to be adding some text. So Splice makes it very, very easy to add text. Just hit that button there, type it in, and then you can edit the size of it right there. Hit the check mark, you're good to go. Then we're going to align it to the top, keep it in the center. And like I said, they have a great selection of fonts. They have a great selection of colors. So we're going to give this an exciting font and an exciting bright blue or purple, and then give it a nice gray background as well. And then we're going to change the transparency. They make that really easy, and it just makes your text a little bit nicer to look at. From there, you can adjust the alignment. And then there's some other tools as well, but we won't get into that today, just in the interest of time. And then a nice thing that Splice does is that you can easily copy your text blocks. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate those so that now they both have the exact same formatting. We don't have to go back and do it manually each time. And then you'll notice that I snapped those text blocks to the clips, so they make editing like that really easy as well. So if you want to have specific text on one clip and different text on another, you can have a nice seamless transition from one to the other. So take a quick look at that. Looking good so far. Now we're going to check out the music library. So yeah, they have a seriously extensive selection of music, great selection of genres as well. There are thousands of tracks, but usually what I do is I go straight to trending audios, take a look at that first. So we've got this one picked out. So I'm going to take a look at that, play it through, see how it sounds with the video. And then, like Riley said earlier, the hook, the first 5 seconds of your video is super, super important. Now on Splice, they upload full tracks, full songs. So usually intro is maybe a little slower, not quite as exciting as partway through the song. So what we normally do and what we recommend is chopping the front end of the song off so that you start your video with exciting audio as well as the other content. Now you'll just see me editing the end of the video to make sure everything ends at the same time. And then we're going to export. So it's quite easy to do. You select your frames per second, which we don't recommend changing from 30. And then you have your resolution that you can select as well. Hit save, and you're done. Super, super easy on Splice. Now I'm going to jump into editing transitions. Like Riley said, it's even easier on our phones, especially on Splice. Their UI is very, very easy to use. So we're going to be following the same steps as Riley. We've already imported our clips to our editor. We're then going to splice them together, then review and adjust just a little bit. So we start by watching it through. And what we're going to notice here is that there's a bit of a pause at the wall in the first clip. So it kind of stops on the wall. So we're gonna chop that out so there's a bit more of a seamless movement from one clip to another. You'll notice just a little bit smoother this time. So obviously, if this was a video that we were publishing, we'd spend a lot more time just kind of trimming this up and making it just right. But for the sake of the example, we're just going to leave it at that. I'm going to pass it back to Riley to show you a bit of a final product here.
Yeah, so when we talk about at the beginning, we talked about what's the objective of our video. Well, this video that we're showing you right now is not really for social media. It's more to show you what transitions can look like. So filming some simple transitions, make them look good on a reel. So we wouldn't maybe necessarily upload this to social media. You wouldn't maybe make a video of all transitions, but where you can see how we kind of put that together, throw trending audio in, it can kind of make a real fun moving video, and it can add a lot of movement to your video. So we'll just play that with audio.
Watch me dance, dance the night away. My heart could be burning, but you won't see it on my face. Watch me dance, dance the night away. I'll still keep the party running, I won't let out of place. Lately, I've been moving close to the edge, still be looking my best. I stay on the beat, you can count on me, I ain't missing no steps. Cause every romance shakes and it bends, don't give a damn. When the night's here, I don't do tea.
You're gonna again see how great audio can kind of make a video have a lot more feeling to it as well there. So I'm back over to Connor just to talk about using some templates.
Thanks, Riley. Yeah, so templates are a great way to kind of up your game in short form video. So the benefits really is that they're easy to use. They give structure to your content and can really increase your content credibility by giving kind of a higher level of production value or perception of such. You can find templates on Instagram, CapCut, and for those of you who are surfing trending content on TikTok, you know that there are lots of CapCut templates bouncing around there. So I've got some screenshots for you guys just so you kind of can visualize what a process would look like with templates. So as you can see, they give you kind of slices of a video with certain timeframes. So you don't have to, what you'll do is you'll upload videos or photos to this, but for videos, what you don't have to do is trim them down to these specific time sets. It'll actually kind of give you a way of doing that. They give you a cutter, so to speak, that they put onto your video. So you just drag that to wherever on your video you want to select for your template. Okay, I'm also going to be talking about some audio tips. So I'm going to breeze through this slide just in the interest of time, but we encourage you when we send these slides out to come back to this. Visuals, there is a bit of a debate on switching them on or off beat. So we've kind of laid out those options and the pros and cons of them. We have some other audio tips on the right here for you. But the biggest thing that we definitely want to mention in the webinar is that you don't want to let your added sound overpower important audio in your video. So if you have speech or you have some really cool background noise, some sounds of nature, like waves crashing or birds singing, you don't want to cover that up with music, or you may want to, but sometimes if you want to let that shine through, we really encourage you to do that. Then we're going to be talking quickly about some overlays. So Connect Media, we use Canva primarily for overlays, but that is a paid thing. So CapCut is another option that's free. You can add some basic overlays through CapCut. But one thing before I jump into text overlays branding that I want to just touch on is UI, user interface, on each of these platforms, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, TikTok. They all have different user interfaces where you see the profile name, the copy, the buttons for engaging with the content, liking, commenting, favoriting, sharing. It's really important that your overlays never collide with these features, with this UI, as it can be quite jarring for your audience, and it can kind of diminish the content credibility of your videos. So with that being said, overlays add a lot of value to your video if done right. So one thing that they do is they allow you to offer a lot more info to your audience. You can add captions in as well. And then you can add branded fonts, colors, and logos to really put your stamp on the video and align it with your brand. So getting into text overlays, just a few tips. You really want to follow wording best practices. The less words, the better is kind of the general thing. This clip on the right, you'll see that we added a fair amount of text, and this is really what we recommend being the limit. You don't want to go further than this. This is getting to be a bit much, but yeah. Consistent alignment is another thing. You'll notice this text is center aligned, and when I play that video, all of the text is center aligned. You want to be careful of borders, like I said, so each app has different borders for their UI. So definitely be in touch with that. You want to consider your font sizes too. Generally, we just keep one font size through a video, and then for a given profile, we actually keep that font size from video to video. If you want to maybe add like a title font size that's a little bit bigger, and then a CTA call to action at the end that has a bigger font, we say that's okay as well, but going beyond two font sizes is definitely not recommended. As for branding, you do want to follow general like the same best practices as text overlays. And we're just going to get into a quick example here actually of using branding on a video. So this is just a quick pan across the community, and then we give the branding right at the end. And a nice thing that this branding does is it kind of aligns the brand with the views that this community has. Another one is going to be, oops, sorry about that. Another one is going to be this family day itinerary. So you'll see I'm following the text best practices here where I have them all center aligned. And then another thing that I didn't mention before is that I split that text. Some of it's at the top, some of it's at the bottom. So we really let the most important part of the images shine through. All right, I'm passing it back to Riley for some other considerations.
Couple things to think about here when editing your videos is timing, pace, tempo. You know, if you're going to be doing a fast-paced video and you want to use a fast-paced audio, something a little more dance music or something like that, you're going to want to think about when you're filming. You want shorter clips, faster clips, maybe even sometimes faster movement. So thinking about what are you trying to accomplish? Maybe it's a romantic kind of story, then you maybe want to slow it down a bit, use slow motion, use slower songs, use a little bit slower clips. So think about the timing, the pace of your video, and keep that consistency through your short form video. And editing movement. So you with your phone sometimes you maybe do a pan this way and a pan that way and a pan up and stuff like that. If you're doing too many movements kind of up and down, left and right, it makes it harder for your viewer to follow. So you kind of want to think about that both when you're filming and when you're editing, because you can put your clips in an order that kind of creates a better flow for your visitor, subconsciously letting them follow through without knowing kind of what to look at next and putting an effort to follow on. I like to say let the video lead your eyes naturally through the clip. And engage the eyes and the mind, actually engage all senses. Try your best to think about all these senses and how they come together in the video to kind of naturally flow through. This is so important. We gave it its own page. Myself have a short attention span. Everyone while they're consuming short form video clips are actually having very short attention span. They kind of just want to see the clips. They're flipping through. They see something they like. This is the most important aspect to short form video, is making it quick, clear, concise, entertaining, engaging, fun, intriguing. Really think about the fact that you want to excite people. I use often an example of Mr. Beast, you know, not that you want to make videos like Mr. Beast, but his philosophy, he's the most popular YouTube you know, performer, and his philosophy is there's always something going on the screen that keeps the eyes engaged. And that's something you notice consistently, especially in his later work. So really think about that philosophy and how do I keep that audience engaged for even 10 seconds. And so back over to Connor, just to talk about the music.
All right, guys, I know we're getting short on time here, but I'm just going to quickly get through this choosing music slide. So music is super powerful, and you want to harness that power in your content, as it can really boost your engagement and your views. So really what it boils down to is two options. You have your trending music or audio, and you have your copyright free music. So for trending music and audio, it's really favored by the algorithm and it's familiar with your audience. So that gives it an initial like kick in your engagement. The cons though is that it kind of puts you in a box using trending audio, because you don't want to stray. You do want to make it your own, these trends, but you do not want to stray too far, go too against the grain, as it will kind of diminish, again, your content credibility with your audience. It's also limiting for ads. A lot of trending music is copyright protected, so you can't use it in ads. As for copyright-free music, the benefits is that you have a massive variety of options to choose from, and it can match your content, your video content, better. It's also good for ads. It's copyright-free, so that helps you a lot. The downside, though, is of course you do not get that algorithmic boost that you would get with a trending audio, and it's unfamiliar with your audience. Some useful resources to check out. We recommend checking out the audio suggestions when creating content. So when you upload a video to Instagram or TikTok, they'll have audio suggestions right there for you. So we recommend exploring that and seeing if there's some trending audio that might work for that video or another video going forward. You can also just search trending audio on these apps. Just go to the search bar and type that in, and you'll find a plethora of great resources. Some accounts that you might want to follow are organizations that match your content strategy, and influencers as well. Just get some inspiration from them. You want to follow your competitors and see what they're up to and see how you can play off of that. And partners are a really good one too, because you can find some opportunities for collaborations, which are a great way to boost your audience quickly. One more thing I'm going to talk about here is video content distribution. So we've just laid out 8 different platforms for you to check out: YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, and Threads. So what we don't recommend is that organizations post on all of these. They have different audiences with different interests. So to help you pick, like say you're a wedding venue or something like that, you definitely want to put your content on Pinterest, as there are a lot of planners on that platform. If you have long form video that you're already posting to YouTube and you want to drive a bigger audience to that, then what we recommend is uploading some shorts of those videos, little snippets, the highlights maybe, that will grab audience's attention quickly and then pull them to those long form videos on your channel. Back to Riley for some audience engagement considerations.
Yeah, so I think one of the most important things is that you have an engaged audience, and this is accomplished, you know, just through making really good videos as well. But a few other things that you can do. Number one, engage with people that comment on your videos. If they comment and ask you a question or compliment your video or tell you about a time they had a great time at your business, answer that question back. They're gonna, once they get that kind of you know, endorphins from that feedback from you, they're going to subconsciously want to engage with you more and more, and that helps with the algorithm. The more people are engaging, the more other people are going to see your content and engage with you as well, and you build a community. And the other points we talked about earlier as well, encouraging people to engage with you on your videos. This could be as simple as just like kind of asking some questions, or kind of, you know, just say, you know, what are your thoughts of this? What was your favorite thing about this? And it encourages people to put into comments and get in there on that. Engage with others. So using your account and going to find other people in the tourism industry, media, in your community, engage in their post, comment on it, say something funny, or just, you know, compliment it. They're going to start engaging back with you, and their audience is going to see that engagement as well. and it can help you build your audience as well and build relationships. Spike videos that spike curiosity, and get people talking, asking questions, like the old classic Pepsi versus Coke. Maybe a restaurant, you could say, is poutine if it's made with cheddar cheese? And you're gonna get a lot of people with some opinions on that, and that can be real fun. So being playfully controversial, or orchestrate kind of fun, playful rivalries like sign wars. Maybe there's another restaurant in town, you both have really great burgers, you have a battle of the burgers, and you get kind of back and forth. Or your two communities, you're like, let's do a battle of the beaches, who's got the best beach. This works best when both people have a strong product that is very comparable, but can really create excitement and engagement around what your videos are. And so we're just going to get into a couple more examples here. We're getting close to wrapping up. We'll have some time for some question and answers for everyone who has some time for that. But, the first video here is just a really simple, it's a template. It's a pause to play, and it shows you the tap thing. The nice thing about that is people often will watch this over again to keep tapping to see, and the algorithm kind of tricks it, hacks the algorithm, and some of those videos end up doing very, very well. Next one's a very simple clip of a bird, a couple clips of a bird with trending audio, and it's very simple. This is a very simple example of a video that can perform very well, tells a simple story. We've got beautiful nature around us. And the third one's really, seems complicated, but it's quite simple, using the transition effect and a gimbal with the motion time lapse. And you can make that very, very easily. So we're just going to replay these all again with audio, just so you can get a real feeling for what these feel like.
This is the rhythm of the
That last one so much because it's really simple. You did a transition. They had a tripod. They took 10 seconds in the light, and they kept the camera there till it got dark. They took another 10 seconds, and then you had that transition. Then they took a gimbal and the motion hyperlapse motion off Instagram, and they just went through a shot. They put those 3 shots together, and it looks really incredible, very engaging. It was very successful as well. And so with that said, we do have some questions and answers. For anyone that does have to leave, just a couple points want to make. First of all, Digital Nova Scotia and Tourism Nova Scotia has some really great programs. One thing to mention is they have a video library that you can download videos. You kind of have to go through a little process and understand the terms, but it's really there for the tourism industry to use, and you can do a lot with that. So that's going to be sent out to you as well. They have some great programs. The Ask a Digital Expert program that you can have us for free, have some consultation time with us and dive into any specific topic with us, even outside of short form, any kind of related tourism marketing subjects. And the TDAP Tourism Digital Assistant Program and TDAP-C program for communities. These are all programs that you can work with Connect Media through funding through Digital Nova Scotia and through Tourism Nova Scotia to help you with some of these projects. But always keep in mind, you guys contact us on our website, and I would spend time with any tourism business. Our goal at Connect Media is to enhance communities through tourism, and any relationship that we can make in tourism is valuable to us. So reach out to us no matter what. Having said that, we're going to go through a few questions that you sent off, and then afterwards there's going to be another some time for questions. Stick around as long as you want. We'll answer questions as long as you guys like. And again, if you have to skip out, you can come onto the DG Port YouTube, and there's going to be all this video. The presentation is going to be sent to you, but you can watch the video. You can watch all the Q&A after as well. So thank you everyone who could participate with us today. But for those who can stick around, we're just going to get into a few questions and answers, and we're going to start with Connor talking about some of the questions you guys sent to us.
All right, thanks, Riley. So question one, what are the best free or low cost apps for editing? So like we said earlier, Splice is a great low cost, CapCut is a great free one. You can also do some in-app editing. We definitely recommend keeping an eye on CapCut though, because they are adding a lot of stuff, making their app even more of a great tool. So they're definitely on the rise, and honestly, Connect Media is even looking into making a switch over to that. So definitely check that out. How can you get, another question was, how can you get copyright free music, especially to boost the video with good engagement? So like we said, Splice is a great resource. There are copyright free music websites as well. And now CapCut has recently implemented a copyright check on videos 1 minute or longer. So any video that you upload on CapCut, you just do this check and it'll check it for you. Another question, how can you adapt a video to make the format fit across all platforms? Splice is our go-to tool for this. You create a video in whatever format to start, and then you just duplicate that video into another project. And in the settings, right beside the export button is actually an option to just change the aspect ratio. And then you can kind of align your video to make sure the best parts are fitting into it. Someone asked, what is the ideal length of a video? And this is a great question. Largely, it depends. But generally, we love to go for the 6 or 7 second videos. That is a great amount of time because, as Riley was saying, it'll give you a really good algorithmic boost to have your audience watch a video in full and then another to watch it again. The more times they watch it, the more of a boost you're getting. So this shorter video just kind of helps those things happen. If you need a longer video to maybe share some more information or some more beautiful shots or whatever, 15 seconds is also good. But going beyond 15 seconds is something we generally try to not recommend. But you know, content can be longer than that. We just really recommend that you put in a lot of effort to making that content very engaging for those longer lengths of time to try and get people to the end of those videos. Accessibility best practices was another question. So a couple tips for us there. If there is speech, add captions. Definitely add captions. And then flash warnings are always good as well. Another question was, should you always include captions? And we just say, yeah, if there's speech, go for it. It makes it easier to understand, and it's best practices in accessibility. And then, yeah, another question was if Tourism Nova Scotia has B-roll stock footage, just check the chat. Sunny actually added the link there, so it's ready for you. And back to you, Riley.
Yeah, so going into what's the difference between Insta, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, we could probably have an hour session just talking about opportunities and nuances of each app. Just to kind of go into a little bit here. You know, the users of each app are going to be slightly different. So keep in mind that Instagram is a little bit more aesthetic, you know, of an audience, a little bit more of a demand for a little bit more of a professional finish. TikTok is a little bit more creative, a little bit younger of an audience. YouTube is a little bit more structured. You know, often you're looking at larger pieces of videos. The shorts, again, like I mentioned earlier, are kind of to support that. So it just kind of comes down to kind of knowing what your audience is, and kind of making your content to that. I do kind of want to remind you too, though, that a lot of small businesses don't have time to make specific content for all these platforms. And there is a place for just, like I said, making a really good video on Splice and putting that out on all of your platforms. I mean, you still can find success. You know, sometimes we find we make that for some clients and we put the same video on, and sometimes on TikTok that it does very successfully, and then sometimes on Instagram it's more successful. So, you know, sometimes it's hard to gauge as well. When and how do I get the most of my posts? So how, you know, we talked a lot about how you can get the most out of your post in the presentation, and you know, we could talk about that, you know, at no end. I'll kind of go into a little bit about when. As a general rule of thumb, you know, just a little bit before people go to work and when people get home from work, so they're finally sitting down, they're gonna, you know, spend a little time going through their phone. Some people in the morning with their coffee go through their phone a bit. So 7 a.m., 7 p.m., 7:30, 8:30 in the evening, anywhere between 7 p.m. and even 9 p.m., 9:30, getting on the later end can be very successful if people are flipping through their feeds a lot. A lot of brands post on the hour mark because they're using schedulers and stuff like that. Some people do recommend posting like on the half-hour mark or kind of in between marks, so you have a little less competition in the algorithm. A great program also is Iconoscore. It's a subscription-based program that gives you some cool analytics and data on your content, but it also gives you a chart of when your visitors are most active. And so each business do have different kind of customer bases, and and you can use that information to better choose what time to post. And so why use mobile devices instead of computers to create videos? I think for most people, you should use mobile devices because it's easier, it's cheaper, it's faster, more efficient. You got the music built in, you got all the stuff. If you're doing a lot of technical things, yeah, you probably should use the editor, but you're also going to have those skills a little bit more developed. Any information on the expansion of Instagram's video length and effects? TikTok did this recently. We don't, I think it'll have a strong impact, but it does give people more potential to share longer videos. We still think there's going to be a demand to have shorter videos because people in the space for the time being, and this kind of might shift over time. But just say if you are making longer form video, like I said before, make sure it's interesting, engaging from start to finish. A really good typical style of doing longer videos on these platforms would be that Q&A, that informative, that how-to kind of stuff that gives people a real specific reason to keep watching. And that wraps up all the questions that we had in time for when we were preparing. So if there's any other questions too, feel free to ask. I don't have any in the Q&A right now, but also maybe the team from DNS and Tourism Nova Scotia might have a few things that have been sent in as well. So feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A now.
Well, thanks so much, Riley. Can you guys hear me all right?
You bet.
Okay, that was excellent. And anyone, of course, on the call that would like to ask a question would encourage that. Oh, got a question. What is one thing to make sure you do not do?
That's a trick question. In this day and age, people's values indicate what brands they want to align with more than ever. And you want to be cautious with this and not offending people. We talk about sometimes, some things that we've noticed in the past, is seeing content where maybe someone's not wearing the proper safety equipment, like kayaking without a life jacket, or using imagery where disposable plastics, like a plastic water bottle, maybe you have a shot, someone's holding a water bottle, make sure it's a reusable water bottle. So I would say really think about people's values in this modern age and try your best not to make mistakes in those areas. Some people innocently make mistakes that get them canceled, so to speak, and those are the things that I probably fear the most for businesses in the tourism industry. And Connor, do you have any ideas on what not to do?
No, really, you hit the nail on the head, honestly. Yeah, just advocating for the right values there, like PFDs, personal flotation devices, the life jackets and everything, wearing a helmet when you're on a bike, just all those safety things, definitely really important to advocate for.
We often won't post a video, even if it's pre-recorded stuff. We're telling a story, even for say we're promoting a fall activity that has a campfire, but there's a fire season and people are really worried about fires. We will not put anything to do with fire in a video because that will aggravate people, and those are other things that you want to think about as well.
That's really good feedback. Actually, we had a shoot we did in a vineyard once, and they had bikes, and some of the talent just hopped on the bikes, got some really good shots, and we couldn't use any of it because they didn't have helmets on. Which it was impromptu, but what, I guess one thing I would add is just have someone else take a look at what you put together, because they may have that feedback where you kind of have your blinders on with your with your own project.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so I don't see any other questions here. I would probably say that's due to the fact that you guys did an excellent job covering like really, really great detail. So I am going to take back over here. And again, if anyone has any questions, follow up after the fact, please send an email, connect with Riley and Connor and the team, connect, and they'll be able to help you out. So I'm going to take back over here. I really appreciate the presentation and really strong content, and I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you.
All right. Perfect. All right. So that was, again, excellent presentation, really strong, like ways to do that short form video. Literally showed you how to do it in different platforms and programs to do it, and looks really, really neat, and a way to get people's eyes on your business. So thank you so much to Connect Media. Now we have some webinars coming up in what's October? I'm going to say October. So we have the whole month of October, each Thursday. It's kicking off in a unique kind of fashion. So we have a webinar, so better marketing content with audience research, and that's by Allison, not with Allison K Consulting. And then there is going to be a 3-part workshop series by Liam Taylor from SME Solutions. So it's the Digital Marketing Tree Workshop 1, 2, and 3. So of course that will help you build out your digital marketing planning and give you a lot of really strong tips and tricks. So if you're interested in that, please sign up. If you have any questions, let us know. Both presenters next month are going to have had previous webinars. So again, a lot of opportunities to see what they've done. If you like what they do next month, you can go back and watch what they did before. Thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. Also wanted to quick reminder to anyone on the call, the application deadline for TDAP communities is September 14th at 4. So that would be communities that can work with a qualified digital expert to help them bridge the digital gap, improve your online presence and services to attract visitors and encourage spending in your community. So this would be for municipalities, regional marketing organizations, and community tourism organizations that may be eligible for up to $15,000 in services. So if you'd like to know more about it, you can check it out on our website, tourismns.ca/tourism digital assistance programs. The Export Travel Trade Program is still accepting applications until September 30th or until all spaces are filled. Since we have it here, we're going to say there are spaces available. So if you're interested to get one-on-one coaching through the Export Program to develop partnerships with your tour operators and travel agents to attract more international and national visitors and customers, please do so and look into that. Please stay connected with us to find out about all these programs I'm speaking about now. You can email us about any suggestions for any future webinars, tnsbusiness@novascotia.ca. Our website is tourismns.ca. We have our consumer website, novascotia.com. Our news and resources, which we would tell you about any webinars, programs, deadlines, anything relevant in the industry. You can sign up at our website at News and Resources. You can find us on Twitter at TourismNS, and we are on LinkedIn at Tourism Nova Scotia. Thanks again for joining us, and have a wonderful day.